Barack Obama is the 44th President of the United States. Few presidents have walked a more improbable path to the White House. Born in Hawaii to a mother from Kansas and a father from Kenya, Obama was raised with help from his grandparents, whose generosity of spirit reflected their Midwestern roots. The homespun values they instilled in him, paired with his innate sense of optimism, compelled Obama to devote his life to giving every child, regardless of his or her background, the same chance America gave him. After working his way through college with the help of scholarships and student loans, Obama moved to Chicago, where he worked with a group of churches to help rebuild communities devastated by the closure of local steel plants. That experience honed his belief in the power of uniting ordinary people around a politics of purpose, in the hard work of citizenship, to bring about positive change. In law school, he became the first African American president of the Harvard Law Review. Then he returned to Illinois to teach constitutional law at the University of Chicago and begin a career in public service, winning seats in the Illinois State Senate and the United States Senate. On November 4, 2008, Barack Obama was elected the 44th President of the United States, winning more votes than any candidate in history. He took office at a moment of crisis unlike any America had seen in decades, a nation at war, a planet in peril, the American dream itself threatened by the worst economic calamity since the Great Depression. And yet, despite all manner of political obstruction, Obama's leadership helped rescue the economy, revitalize the American auto industry, reform the healthcare system to cover another 20 million Americans, and put the country on a firm course to a clean energy future, all while overseeing the longest stretch of job creation in American history. On the world stage, Obama's belief in America's indispensable leadership and strong, principled diplomacy helped wind down the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, decimate al-Qaeda and eliminate the world's most wanted terrorists, shut down Iran's nuclear weapons program, open up a new chapter with the people of Cuba, and unite humanity in coordinated action to combat a changing climate. In times of great challenge and change, President Obama's leadership ushered in a stronger economy, a more equal society, a nation more secure at home and more respected around the world. The Obama years were ones in which more people not only began to see themselves in the changing face of America, but to see America the way he always has, as the only place on earth where so many of our stories could even be possible. Barack Obama and his wife, Michelle, are the proud parents of two daughters, Malia and Sasha. A member of the Democratic Party, he was the first African American president. Obama previously served as a U.S. Senator representing Illinois from 2005 to 2008 and as an Illinois State Senator from 1997 to 2004. Obama was born in Honolulu, Hawaii. He graduated from Columbia University in 1983 with a Bachelor of Arts degree in Political Science and later worked as a community organizer in Chicago. In 1988, Obama enrolled in Harvard Law School, where he was the first black president of the Harvard Law Review. He became a civil rights attorney and an academic, teaching constitutional law at the University of Chicago Law School from 1992 to 2004. In 1996, Obama was elected to represent the 13th District in the Illinois Senate, a position he held until 2004, when he successfully ran for the U.S. Senate. In the 2008 presidential election, after a close primary campaign against Hillary Clinton, he was nominated by the Democratic Party for president. Obama selected Joe Biden as his running mate and defeated Republican nominee John McCain and his running mate Sarah Palin. Obama was awarded the 2009 Nobel Peace Prize for efforts in international diplomacy, a decision which drew both criticism and praise. During his first term, his administration responded to the 2007 to 2008 financial crisis with measures including the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act of 2009, a major stimulus package to guide the economy in recovering from the Great Recession, a partial extension of the Bush tax cuts, legislation to reform healthcare, and the Dodd-Frank Wall Street Reform and Consumer Protection Act, a major financial regulation reform bill. Obama also appointed Supreme Court Justices Sonia Sotomayor and Elena Kagan, the former being the first Hispanic American on the Supreme Court. He oversaw the end of the Iraq War, and ordered Operation Neptune Spear, the raid that killed Osama bin Laden, who was responsible for the September 11 attacks. Obama downplayed Bush's counterinsurgency model, expanding airstrikes and making extensive use of special forces, while encouraging greater reliance on host government militaries. He also ordered the 2011 military intervention in Libya to implement United Nations Security Council Resolution 1973, contributing to the overthrow of Muammar Gaddafi. Obama defeated Republican opponent Mitt Romney and his running mate Paul Ryan in the 2012 presidential election. In his second term, Obama advocated for gun control in the wake of the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting, took steps to combat climate change, signing the Paris Agreement, a major international climate agreement, and an executive order to limit carbon emissions. Obama also presided over the implementation of the Affordable Care Act and other legislation passed in his first term. He initiated sanctions against Russia following the invasion in Ukraine and again after Russian interference in the 2016 U.S. elections, ordered military intervention in Iraq in response to gains made by ISIL following the 2011 withdrawal from Iraq, negotiated the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, a nuclear agreement with Iran, and normalized relations with Cuba. The number of American soldiers in Afghanistan decreased during Obama's second term, though U.S. soldiers remained in the country throughout the remainder of his presidency. Obama promoted inclusion for LGBT Americans, becoming the first sitting U.S. president to publicly support same-sex marriage. Obama left office in 2017 with high approval ratings both within the United States and among foreign advisories. He continues to reside in Washington, D.C. and remains politically active, campaigning for candidates in various American elections, including in Biden's successful presidential bid in the 2020 presidential election. Outside of politics, Obama has published 3 books: Dreams from My Father, 1995, The Audacity of Hope, 2006, and A Promised Land, 2020. His presidential library began construction in the south side of Chicago in 2021. Historians and political scientists rank Obama among the upper tier in historical rankings of U.S. presidents. Obama's family history, upbringing, and Ivy League education differ markedly from those of African American politicians who rose to prominence in the 1960s through their involvement in the civil rights movement. Expressing puzzlement over questions about whether he is black enough, Obama told an August 2007 meeting of the National Association of Black Journalists that we're still locked in this notion that if you appeal to white folks then there must be something wrong. Obama acknowledged his youthful image in an October 2007 campaign speech, remarking, "I wouldn't be here if, time and again, the torch had not been passed to a new generation." Additionally, Obama has frequently been referred to as an exceptional orator. During his pre-inauguration transition period and continuing into his presidency, Obama delivered a series of weekly video addresses on YouTube. In 2009, the saying "Thanks, Obama" first appeared in a Twitter hashtag #ThanksObama, and was later used in a demotivational poster. It was later adopted satirically to blame Obama for any socio-economic ills. Obama himself used the phrase in video in 2015 and 2016. In 2017, the phrase was used by Stephen Colbert to express gratitude to Obama on his last day in office. In 2022, President Joe Biden's Twitter account posted the phrase. Obama's presidency ended on January 20, 2017, upon the inauguration of his successor, Donald Trump. The family moved to a house they rented in Colorama, Washington, D.C. On March 2, the John F. Kennedy Presidential Library and Museum awarded the Profile in Courage Award to Obama for his enduring commitment to democratic ideals and elevating the standard of political courage. His first public appearance since leaving the office was a seminar at the University of Chicago on April 24, where he appealed for a new generation to participate in politics. On September 7, Obama partnered with former Presidents Jimmy Carter, George H. W. Bush, Bill Clinton, and George W. Bush to work with One America appeal to help the victims of Hurricane Harvey and Hurricane Irma in the Gulf Coast and Texas communities. From October 31 to November 1, Obama hosted the inaugural summit of the Obama Foundation, which he intended to be the central focus of his post-presidency and part of his ambitions for his subsequent activities following his presidency to be more consequential than his time in office. Barack and Michelle Obama signed a deal on May 22, 2018, to produce docuseries, documentaries, and features for Netflix under the Obama's newly formed production company, Higher Ground Productions. Higher Ground's first film, American Factory, won the Academy Award for Best Documentary Feature in 2020. On October 24, a pipe bomb addressed to Obama was intercepted by the Secret Service. It was one of several pipe bombs that had been mailed out to Democratic lawmakers and officials. In 2019, Barack and Michelle Obama bought a home on Martha's Vineyard from WYC Groesbeck. On October 29, Obama criticized wokeness and call-out culture at the Obama Foundation's annual summit. Obama was reluctant to make an endorsement in the 2020 Democratic presidential primaries because he wanted to position himself to unify the party, regardless of the nominee. On April 14, 2020, Obama endorsed Biden, the presumptive nominee, for president in the presidential election, stating that he has all the qualities we need in a president right now. In May, Obama criticized President Trump for his handling of the COVID-19 pandemic, calling his response to the crisis an absolute chaotic disaster, and stating that the consequences of the Trump presidency have been our worst impulses unleashed, our proud reputation around the world badly diminished, and our democratic institutions threatened like never before. On November 17, Obama's presidential memoir, A Promised Land, was released. In February 2021, Obama and musician Bruce Springsteen started a podcast called Renegades, Born in the USA, where the two talk about their backgrounds, music, and their enduring love of America. 476 later that year, Regina Hicks had signed a deal with Netflix, in a venture with his and Michelle's Higher Ground to develop comedy projects. On March 4, 2022, Obama won an Audio Publishers Association, APA, award in the Best Narration by the Author category for the narration of his memoir A Promised Land. On April 5, Obama visited the White House for the first time since leaving office, in an event celebrating the 12th annual anniversary of the signing of the Affordable Care Act. In June, it was announced that the Obamas and their podcast production company, Higher Ground, signed a multi-year deal with Audible. In September, Obama visited the White House to unveil his and Michelle's official White House portraits. Around the same time, he won a Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Narrator for his narration in the Netflix documentary series Our Great National Parks. In 2022, Obama opposed expanding the Supreme Court beyond the present 9 justices. In March 2023, Obama traveled to Australia as a part of his speaking tour of the country. During the trip, Obama met with Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese and visited Melbourne for the first time. Obama was reportedly paid more than $1 million for 2 speeches. In October 2023, during the Gaza war, Obama declared that Israel must dismantle Hamas in the wake of the Hamas-led attack on Israel. Weeks later, Obama warned Israel that its actions could harden Palestinian attitudes for generations and weaken international support for Israel. Any military strategy that ignored the war's human costs could ultimately backfire. In July 2024, Obama expressed concerns about Biden's campaign viability after his critically maligned debate performance against former President Trump. On July 21, Biden withdrew his candidacy and swiftly endorsed Vice President Harris right after to run as the Democratic nominee. Obama endorsed Harris alongside his wife Michelle 5 days later and delivered a speech at the 2024 Democratic National Convention formally endorsing her. He joined Harris on the campaign trail in October, traveling to various swing states and emphasizing her record as a prosecutor, senator, and vice president and advocating for increased voter turnout, and his criticisms of Donald Trump and the Republican Party were widely reported by various media outlets. After Trump was declared the winner of the election on November 6, Obama and Michelle congratulated him and Vice President-elect J.D. Vance while praising the Harris campaign and calling on liberal voters to continue supporting democracy and human rights. Legacy and recognition. Obama has been described as one of the most effective campaigners in American history, his 2008 campaign being particularly highlighted, as well as one of the most talented political orators of the 21st century. Historian Julian Zelizer credits Obama with a keen sense of how the institutions of government work and the ways that his team could design policy proposals. Zeitzer notes Obama's policy successes included the economic stimulus package which ended the Great Recession and the Dodd-Frank financial and consumer protection reforms, as well as the Affordable Care Act. Zeitzer also notes the Democratic Party lost power and numbers of elected officials during Obama's term, saying that the consensus among historians is that Obama turned out to be a very effective policymaker but not a tremendously successful party builder. Zeitzer calls this the defining paradox of Obama's presidency. The Brookings Institution noted that Obama passed only one major legislative achievement, Obamacare, and a fragile one at that. The legacy of Obama's presidency mainly rests on its tremendous symbolic importance and the fate of a patchwork of executive actions. David W. Wise noted that Obama fell short in areas many progressives hold dear, including the continuation of drone strikes, not going after big banks during the Great Recession, and failing to strengthen his coalition before pushing for Obamacare. Wise called Obama's legacy that of a disappointingly conventional president. Obama's most significant accomplishment is generally considered to be the Affordable Care Act, ACA, provisions of which went into effect from 2010 to 2020. Many attempts by Senate Republicans to repeal the ACA, including a skinny repeal, have thus far failed. However, in 2017, the penalty for violating the individual mandate was repealed effective 2019. Together with the Health Care and Education Reconciliation Act amendment, it represents the U.S. healthcare system's most significant regulatory overhaul and expansion of coverage since the passage of Medicare and Medicaid in 1965. Many commentators credit Obama with averting a threatened depression and pulling the economy back from the Great Recession. According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, the Obama administration created 11.3 million jobs from the month after his first inauguration to the end of his second term. In 2010, Obama signed into effect the Dodd-Frank Wall Street Reform and Consumer Protection Act. Passed as a response to the financial crisis of 2007 to 2008, it brought the most significant changes to financial regulation in the United States since the regulatory reform that followed the Great Depression under Democratic President Franklin D. Roosevelt. In 2009, Obama signed into law the National Defense Authorization Act for fiscal year 2010, which contained in it the Matthew Shepard and James Burt Jr. Hate Crimes Prevention Act, the first addition to existing federal hate crime law in the United States since Democratic President Bill Clinton signed into law the Church Arson Prevention Act of 1996. The act expanded existing federal hate crime laws in the United States, and made it a federal crime to assault people based on sexual orientation, gender identity, or disability. As president, Obama advanced LGBT rights. In 2010, he signed the Don't Ask, Don't Tell Repeal Act, which brought an end to Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy in the U.S. Armed Forces that banned open service from LGBT people. The law went into effect the following year. In 2016, his administration brought an end to the ban on transgender people serving openly in the U.S. Armed Forces. A Gallup poll, taken in the final days of Obama's term, showed that 68% of Americans believed the U.S. had made progress on LGBT rights during Obama's 8 years in office. Obama substantially escalated the use of drone strikes against suspected militants and terrorists associated with Al-Qaeda and the Taliban. In 2016, the last year of his presidency, the U.S. dropped 26,171 bombs on 7 different countries. Obama left about 8,400 U.S. troops in Afghanistan, 5,262 in Iraq, 503 in Syria, 133 in Pakistan, 106 in Somalia, 7 in Yemen, and 2 in Libya at the end of his presidency. According to Pew Research Center and United States Bureau of Justice Statistics, from December 31, 2009, to December 31, 2015, inmates sentenced in U.S. federal custody declined by 5%. This is the largest decline in sentenced inmates in U.S. federal custody since Democratic President Jimmy Carter. By contrast, the federal prison population increased significantly under Presidents Ronald Reagan, George H.W. Bush, Bill Clinton, and George W. Bush. Human Rights Watch, HRW, called Obama's human rights record mixed, adding that he has often treated human rights as a secondary interest, nice to support when the cost was not too high, but nothing like a top priority he championed. Obama left office in January 2017 with a 60% approval rating. He gained 10 spots from the same survey in 2015 from the Brookings Institution that ranked him the 18th greatest American president. In Gallup's 2018 job approval poll for the past 10 U.S. presidents, he received a 63% approval rating. The Barack Obama Presidential Center is Obama's planned presidential library. It will be hosted by the University of Chicago and located in Jackson Park on the south side of Chicago. Obama received the Norwegian Nobel Committee's Nobel Peace Prize in 2009, the Show Foundation Institute for Visual History and Education's Ambassador of Humanity Award in 2014, the John F. Kennedy Profile in Courage Award in 2017, and the Robert F. Kennedy Center for Justice and Human Rights Ripple of Hope Award in 2018. He was named Time magazine's Time Person of the Year in 2008 and 2012. He also received 2 Grammy Awards for Best Spoken Word Album for Dreams from My Father, 2006, and The Audacity of Hope, 2008, as well as 2 Primetime Emmy Awards for Outstanding Narrator for Our Great National Parks, 2022, and Working, What We Do All Day, 2023. He also won 2 Children's and Family Emmy Awards. Thank you for watching this video.